Hey guys, welcome to Fanfic Fanatics. So in today's video we are gonna see what if Deku was an android created by May movie. This story is Android Midoriya by the respected author Crazy Games. Make sure to show some love to their work. Before starting, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. Here's a short summary. Izuku is an android made by May to love making support gear, so she is not lonely, but something goes wrong and now Izuku is awake and starts his journey to becoming a hero. Now let's get to the story. If one were to ask May Hatsume if she has a social life, she would shrug it off and say that there are babies to be made. The truth is she doesn't have any friends or social life in the slightest way. Her parents tried to get her to socialize, but nowadays all people care about are quirks. Since her quirk is weak, the other children would either ignore her or bully her. After 3 years of people making fun of her, she isolated herself and focused over babies. When she was 11 years old, she had the most brilliant idea, and this idea was going to be her ticket into UA University. If she could not make friends the normal way, she would just have to build herself some friends with her tools. For years she would go to the trash beach and grab anything that could be useful, even if they needed major fixing. She had kept making changes on what to add and what his name was going to be when she woke him up. She gave him the ability to eat and even digest food, and even gave him working genitals that vibrate for reasons only known to her. However, the best thing she made for him was 4 devices, 2 in his hands and 2 in his feet, that let him fly, absorb and shoot out energy. The 3-week grounding she got for destroying the toaster during the test was worth it. She used a lot of her parents' extra steel and tungsten to make the skeleton, so he has heat resistance and is incredibly durable. She had even went to a barber shop in order to get hair for him. Luckily a woman named Inko had just got her hair cut, so she was able to give him hair. Just another 10 months before her exam, she was so glad that her father recommended her to Power Loader. The day before the support recommendation exam, "May, you better not be having relations with your sexbot," said Hinata Hatsume, May's older sister, as she rudely barges into the room. "For the last time, he is not a sexbot, and even if he was, what we do is none of your business," May yelled back. "Look, is your toy ready yet? The recommendation exam for support students is tomorrow?" Hinata asked. "Yes, I just finished the AI program, soon I will have made a real friend," May giggled. "Well, let's get it loaded up so we can just leave tomorrow," Hinata said. "He has a name, you know, and let me just upload the AI," May said. "Whatever, I don't care about this hunk of junk, just hurry up," Hinata said, pulling her phone out. "Done, now let's get Izuku into the car," May said as she unhooked the pod Izuku was in. After an hour the sisters managed to get the pod in the back of the family van. With that done, May ran inside straight to her bed, so she had plenty of energy for tomorrow. The next day, of course Mother Nature decides to be a dick on today of all days. It was supposed to be sunny today, not raining cats and dogs. Why did this have to happen today? May and Hinata were moving as fast as they can to unload the pod and get it in. Luckily they got inside with everything and set up May's display. May looked around at the others and was only slightly impressed. Most of the inventions were basic jetpacks, lasers and portable shields, all of which were slightly bulky. The only interesting thing she saw was a guy who made a railgun. "Welcome everyone to the UA support recommendation exam. I expect great things from all of you. Power Loader, 13 and I are the judges, and now let us see what you got," Nedzu said. The 3 made their way through each of the potential students and so far were doing their best to stay awake. Most of the inventions were things people make during their first year. So far there is nothing special. After an hour of boring inventions, Power Loader was ready to call it a day when they approached a guy with a railgun. "All right, Mr. Mars, what is your invention?" 13 asked. "I made a railgun that fires 10,000 volts of electricity and would love to demonstrate it for you," the guy known as Mars said before turning around and aiming at the target. As the gun started to charge, it began to spark violently. In a panic, the guy dropped his gun and dove behind a table. Power Loader told everyone to get behind something as the gun fired. Unfortunately, the blast went flying straight into the computer of May's while it was connected to the pod. "Oh no." May immediately ran to her computer and saw that it was totally scraped. "All right, is everyone okay?" Power Loader asked. "Seems no one is injured. Will you still be able to present something, or would you rather reschedule Ms. Hatsume?" Nedzu asked. "I don't know, his pod is slightly sparking and I don't think I can fix him," May answered, trying to open the pod. What do you mean? He asked 13. Before May could answer, the pod opened up, but instead of a body falling out, a figure stepped out of the pod. It was a boy with green hair wearing a skin-tight black suit stepped out, causing some students to panic. Ms. Hatsume, who is this boy? Nedzu asked. His name is Izuku and he is an android I made. He can fly, shoot energy and is incredibly durable. May explained, checking over Izuku, who looked around confused. Where am I and who are all of you? Asked Izuku, who sounded bored. You are at UA University. Well, Ms. Hatsume, your android is spectacular. Can you please shut him down to make sure he is completely functional? Nedzu said. I won't let you shut me down, you weasel, Izuku said calmly, getting into a fighting stance. Look, we don't have to fight, we just want to make sure everything is okay, Powerloader said before putting a hand on Izuku's shoulder. Izuku wasted no time and grabbing Powerloader's arm and throwing him across the room. The instant Powerloader hit the way, the students ran away while 13 began to use her quirk to destroy Izuku. May jumped on 13's back, startling the hero as she began to beg them to not hurt Izuku. Nedzu decided he wanted to see what this Izuku can do as Powerloader dug through the ground trying to get the drop on him. Unfortunately, Izuku quickly took flight and began firing powerful energy blast at the ground. But Powerloader shot out of the ground and managed to hit Izuku, sending him into the ground. The boy just laid there looking bored before jumping to his feet, ready to continue the fight, but was stopped by May hugging him from behind. Please stop fighting, Izuku, May asked. They started it, but fine as long as they don't annoy me, he said before sitting at a random table with a radio. How did you know he would listen to you? Asked 13. Oh, he could have ignored me, but I figured I would try to be nice, she said. Okay, so why did you build Izuku? Nedzu asked. I don't have any friends, so I decided to make a friend, thus I built Izuku and gave him the ability to fight so he wouldn't be in danger, May said. Did you have to make it so aggressive? Powerloader asked, still sore from hitting the wall. That is the odd part, the AI I made him was supposed to make him calm and have a love for technology, May asked. Izuku just sat at the table watching the weasel, the State Puff Marshmallow Man's wife, and his punching bag talk to his creator. He messed with the radio for a bit and eventually he found a station and was met with the worst thing he ever heard. It was some sort of music, but it sounded just awful, so he threw the radio into the air and blasted it into pieces. He then noticed everyone was looking at him like he was crazy. What? Izuku asked. Not a big fan of country music, huh? 13 joked. That crap was music. What morons make music like that, and can we arrest them? Izuku asked with a smirk. Well, Ms. Hatsume, I think I can say confidently that you are being accepted into the UA support course under one condition, Nedzu said. If the condition is to shut down Izuku, I will refuse, May said sternly. No, what I want is for Izuku here to join the hero course, Nedzu said. But I wanted Izuku to stay by my side, May said sadly. Don't worry, you two can share a dorm and everything, Nedzu said. Sir, I think that is not a good idea. For all we know, that thing is unstable, Powerloader said. Izuku is a he and it would be up to him, has said he is an android, not a robot, so I can't control him, May said. What does a hero do? Izuku asked. Our job is to protect innocent people and arrest villains, criminals, 13 explained. So basically I get to fight people, get paid in the works? Izuku asked. I guess, 13 said. Alright, I will try this hero thing out for a bit, but I have my own demands, Izuku said. What are your demands? Nedzu asked. 1. I want to get some clothes so I am not stuck in this. 2. I want a pickup truck, and 3. I want to pick the dorm room me and May get, he said. Deal, I look forward to seeing how you do during the entrance exam, Izuku, Nedzu said, shaking Izuku's hand. Izuku was very disappointed when he got to the entrance exam. He had hoped to jump right into the fighting, not waste 2 hours of his time taking a test. It was not even that difficult, granted he was made to be better than most people, but still. He wished May could have joined him, so then at least something could explode, but the rat said she couldn't join him. He sat in the auditorium where everyone is quietly chatting with each other. He was stuck next to a blonde with spiky hair and red eyes who for some reason annoyed him. After a while he decided to take a nap as the lights dim, but of course someone had to interrupt his nap. A few minutes later he opened his eyes and looked at some blue-haired boy. You with the green hair, do you even want to be here? If you are just going to be a distraction and disrespectful, then you should leave. The boy yelled, asked. Are you always this whiny? Izuku asked while yawning. Excuse me, but, the boy said. Now you two, no need to fight, there will be plenty of action later, but to answer your question, the fourth robot is worth 0 points now. With that out of the way, Present Mike said before dismissing everyone to get to their test sites. Izuku got on his bus and was sitting next to some girl with a brown bowl-cut hair and pink cheeks. He saw how nervous she was but decided not to bother. If she wanted to be a hero, then she'd be able to overcome her fears. After a 12-minute bus ride, he walked straight to the gate ready to fight. While waiting, he saw the blue-haired boy who seemed to be watching him and possibly judging him for some reason. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the gates opening. He immediately charged into the mock city, leaving everyone behind. He began to fly around, shooting energy at every robot he saw. It didn't take long until for him to get 34 points. Deciding he was bored, he looked around and saw a girl who for some reason was naked, was about to get hurt. He destroyed the robot before it could fire a single shot. Thanks for the save, the girl said. No problem, but I got to ask why you are naked? He asked. Well, since I am invisible, no one can see me, so I took my clothes off so the robots couldn't see me, although it seems some of them can, she said. I can see you perfectly fine, he said, like it was no big deal. What? The girl screamed before covering herself. I can see you, and why does it matter if I see you naked? He asked. It matters because I only took my clothes off because I thought no one could see me, she screamed at him. Whatever, I am going to kill more robots. Also, did you know you have a birthmark in the shape of a 4-leaf clover on your ass? He said with a smirk before taking off, leaving the embarrassed girl. With the teacher 10 minutes later. We have quite a lot of great potential students this year, wouldn't you all agree? Nedzu asked. I agree, we have a lot of interesting student, said a blonde skeleton as he watched a blonde with an explosion quirk and a green-haired boy. It is illogical to look potential right now when we still have the true test to get to, said Aizawa. Yes, it is about that time, Snipe, if you would do the honor. With that, Snipe pushed a big red button. Back at the testing site, so far Izuku had earned about 80 points from destroying bot and was making his way to the gate on foot when the ground began to shake. He turned and saw a giant robot that was taller than the buildings. Shrugging, he continued to walk away until he heard a call for help. He turned and saw the girl he sat next to on the bus. He noticed no one was doing anything to help, so he flew to her and freed her from the rubble before taking her to the gate. Thank you for saving me, she said. No problem, now I am going to set you at the gate and then I am going to deal with this, he said as he set her down. But why, it doesn't have a point value? The girl asked. I have been waiting for a challenge since I woke up, so I want to take it on, he said before flying off. He punched the head of the robot but was quickly knocked to the ground by the 0-pointer. Izuku got back up and began punching the center of the robot, breaking through the armor, but the 0-pointer seemed to have a defense system to prevent someone from getting inside of it. The lasers inside of them fired, sending him to the ground, before moving to crush him. Izuku flew back to put some space between him and the 0-pointer. He put his hands up as a green energy before moving them to his right side and swiping his hands, sending a large wave of energy to destroy the 0-pointer. Well, at least it gave me a little challenge, Izuku said, walking away as people stared at him in shock. A few days later, Izuku was lounging around in Mei's workshop while she tried to invent something. The key word be trying. After watching Mei blow up for about the 10th time, he decided to find something else to do but was interrupted by Mei's mom with a confused look on her face. Izuku, why is UA's principal here with a pickup truck? She asked. Oh sweet, he got the pickup truck like we agreed, Izuku said, walking outside as Mei followed. Ah, young Izuku, I have to say you did great at the exam. You even got first place, so has agreed I got you a pickup truck, Nedzu said. The truck was a black Ford F-150, clearly brand new. Izuku opened the driver's seat and saw the leather interior and couldn't help but grin. Thanks, so we have to move into the dorms, right? Izuku asked. Yes, the dorms are free to move into now, just make sure you're moved in within 3 weeks, Nedzu said. Well, I am already packed. What about you, Hatsume Meiku? Izuku asked, using his nickname for his creator. I told you to stop calling me that and I am already packed, Mei said, annoyed. First, I will never stop calling you that, and second, get your stuff and load it in, Izuku said, walking inside and grabbing his duffel bag and suitcase. Why were you both packed this early? Mei's father asked. I was built to fight, so it's only natural that I pass an exam about fighting, and Mei built me so there was no way Ua would reject her, Izuku said as he loaded his stuff while Mei dragged her 3 suitcases and her toolbox out. Just promise you both will visit us, Mei's mom said. Will do. See you later. With that said, Izuku started the car with and began to drive him and Mei to Ua. Why does Izuku get a car but I don't? He doesn't even have a license, Hinata whined, causing the adult's eyes to widen. At Ua an hour and a half later. I am so glad I made you with knowledge on driving, Mei said. I bet you are now. You wanted the room closer to the garage, right? Izuku asked. Yep, now let's get everything settled and we can spend the next few weeks doing whatever, she said. For the next hour Izuku set up the bedroom while Mei set up her workshop. Once both were finished, the duo did whatever they could. Some days they would go to the pool, others they would binge Netflix. As the days flew by they met some of Izuku's classmates. First was Endeavor's son Shoto. Then there was Momo. He even saw the girl he saved and the blue-haired boy. After all the students were here, they were all called to the living room of the dorms. Everyone looked around, not sure what was going on, when all of a sudden a homeless guy walked in. All right, listen up, my name is Aizawa Shota and I am your homeroom teacher. On the first day of class we will be having a quirk assessment test, but today you are going to introduce yourself to your classmates, Aizawa said before crawling into his sleeping bag. Hello everyone, my name is Mina Ishido and my quirk lets me shoot acid from my body, the girl now known as Mina said. Everyone soon followed, introducing themselves like that until it came to the spiky blonde hair guy. My name's Bakugo Katsuki and I am the future #1 hero, so stay out of my way, he said, earning annoyed looks from some of the class. Well, I guess we know who the class clown is, Izuku said calmly. What was that bastard? Bakugo screamed. To be #1 you have to be the best and I already know I am better than you, Izuku said. I will kick your ass, Bakugo screamed. Well then let's head outside so I can introduce you to the ground, Izuku said. With that Iida began to lecture them while the two ran outside. The commotion drew the attention of Mei, who joined them. Who are you? Juru asked. Oh, my name's Mei, I am in the support course, but me and Izuku share a room. My quirk is zoom and lets my eyes zoom in to whatever I am looking at, Mei explained. The girls were about to question her when an explosion drew their attention to the fight. Bakugo was launching blast after blast at Izuku, who shrugged them off while making his way to Bakugo. Izuku kicked Bakugo in the face, sending him flying. However, Bakugo quickly recovered and charged at Izuku and landed a powerful right hook that turned into an explosion. Needless to say that Izuku was shocked. He actually felt that hurt and that annoyed him. How dare this dollar store bomberman hurt him? Angered, Izuku punched Bakugo in the stomach, knocking him into the air before kicking him into the ground. Before Bakugo could hit the ground, he turned and fired his AP shot at Izuku, piercing his right side. Everyone was shocked, but before they could do anything, a gray cloth wrapped around the two and slammed them into each other. Everyone turned and saw their homeroom teacher. It's not even the first day and you two are already causing problems, Aizawa said. Mei ignored him and ran to Izuku, unwrapping the scarf from him. When the scarf was removed, everyone gasped in shock. Not only was he missing a chunk of his body, but he was not even human. Holy shit, he is a robot, Kaminari and Siro screamed. He is an android, not a robot, there is a difference, Mei yelled as she began to assess the damage. Alright, that's it, I am not dealing with this, and from now only no fighting outside of class, Aizawa said, leaving the class alone. Bakugo and Izuku glared at each other, all the while Recovery Girl healed Bakugo as Mei repaired Izuku. Everyone just looked at them quietly, trying to figure out what to say and wondering how the hell there was an android in the hero course. The rest of 1A watched as Recovery Girl left and Mary put her tools away. Momo decided to speak up. Hatsume-san, I have to ask how you got an android. Not many people can afford them, and with Izuku having weapons would make him illegal, so why didn't you return or scrap him? She asked. I would never scrap Izuku. I worked hard to earn the money to get the parts to make him. I made him to be a friend of mine and he was supposed to be in the support course, but some guy's railgun hit Izuku's pod and that caused a short circuit, leading him to have his own personality, Mei answered. Dude, that is so cool. Me have a robot as a classmate. Hey, do me a favor and unpack my room, Kaminari said. You have 5 seconds to run before I hunt you down, Izuku said. For the last time, he is an android, not a robot. There is a difference. And second, he has free will, so he can do whatever he wants and can't be controlled, Mei yelled. I have to ask why he is in the hero course if he was made for the support course, asked Jiru. Well, after Izuku woke up, Power Loader tried to shut him down, so Izuku attacked him, and after a short battle, Principal Nedzu said he wanted him in the hero course, Mei explained. Who the hell is Power Loader? Izuku asked. Your punching bag, as you like to call him, Mei explained. Oh okay, also now that I am repaired I am going to make Sparkplug eat dirt, Izuku said as he walked to Kaminari. Izuku, no fighting please, we don't need to get expelled before classes even begin, Mei said. Fine, be grateful Sparkplug, Izuku said looking at Kaminari. All right then, I have a better suggestion to help us getting along, and that is a movie night in the lobby, Mina said. Most of the students agreed to this. The only ones to not want to participate in the movie night were Bakugo, Todoroki and Iida. The three decided to just stay in their rooms until dinner while the rest of the class went to get changed into pajamas for the movie night in a few hours. Izuku walked into his room and saw Mei looking for her favorite pair of pajamas. Izuku shrugged and took off his shirt and jeans before jumping in bed. Mei had finished changing and joined Izuku in the bed before pulling out her laptop to play some games. Mei then looked and saw that Izuku was only wearing a pair of white boxers with hearts. Please tell me you don't plan to attend movie night in just your boxers, Mei said. What's the issue? It's not like our movie nights back home where we would be naked, Izuku said, sounding bored. Yeah, but some of our classmates will probably call you a pervert, she said while loading Borderlands 2. So what, it doesn't matter what they think as long as they don't get in my way. Besides, after everything we have done I can say that you are the pervert of us too, he said. Watch Mei farm the handsome sorcerer has Gage. Shut up and please just wear some pants. Also, we can't even have sex since the rest of your class will be there, she explained looking through the loot. Fine, just wake me up when we need to head downstairs, he said before closing his eyes. Asterisk, a few hours later everyone was in the lobby for movie night except for Iida, Todoroki and Bakugo, who were getting their dinners. Almost everyone's pajamas were the same, consisting of either a t-shirt or tank top and long pajama bottoms. The only ones wearing something different were Izuku, Shoji, Kaminari and Mineta. The four were all shirtless, wearing shorts of some kind, and for reason Izuku wanted to know Shoji was wearing a mask. Come on guys, why don't you want to join us for movie night? Mina asked the three who refused to join. We have classes tomorrow and should go to bed at a reasonable time instead of staying up watching movies, Iida said while chopping the air. I have better things to do than hang out with you extras, Bakugo said as he went back to his room. I am not here to make friends, Todoroki said calmly as he followed Bakugo's example and went to his room. Who cares if they join us, Izuku said. I just want everyone to get along, Mina whined. Yeah, well, the blonde is an asshole, Blue Boy has a stick up his ass, and Candy Cane is so boring, Izuku said, putting a bag popcorn in the microwave. With the three returning to their bedrooms, movie night had officially begun. For the movie they decided to watch the Digimon movie because why not? Zero set up his Xbox One while Kaminari set up his Switch. The girls talked among themselves for a bit while the guys debated different games. Izuku was bored to say the least. He didn't play games and the only person he really knew was Mei. As he looked around he noticed someone was missing. Hey, where did the great boy go? Izuku asked, gaining everyone's attention. Hiroshima suggested the bathroom, but Tokiyami said he was just there, so after a quick discussion they split up to find him. It only took about 10 minutes before he was found sneaking out of Momo's room with a pillowcase. Momo screamed at him to drop it, alerting Izuku, Jiro and Shoji since they have the best hearing. The instant the three saw Mineta running away they tried to grab him. He managed to dodge Jiro and Izuku with his quirk but was not able to dodge a triple punch from Shoji. The pillowcase hit the gown, opening up to reveal a bunch of panties. The girls then screamed in embarrassment while Shoji took Mineta to Aizawa. Izuku walked back to the lobby and decided to sleep for the night. The next day in class everyone minus Mineta was sitting in homeroom waiting for Aizawa to arrive. It took 15 minutes but he finally arrived and the class greeted him. Okay, Mineta has been given a week of detention and has been warned to never go to any of the girls' room unless he is invited or is delivering papers to one of you. If he does anything like this again, report it immediately and he will be dealt with, Aizawa explained. Now then, put on your gym uniforms and head out to the field. We are going to do a quirk apprehension test." And with that Aizawa walked out of the room. Izuku walked outside and saw he was the first one on the field besides Aizawa. He shook his head in annoyance. Why did his classmates have to be so slow to change clothes? After a few minutes of silence, the rest of the class showed up. "It took you nearly 15 minutes to change clothes. I expect you to get changed faster because every second matters in heroics," Aizawa said. "Now then, Bakugo, you got the most villain points. What was the furthest you got in the softball throw?" Aizawa asked. 67 meters. Bakugo said, sounding bored. "Use your quirk and throw it as far as you can, just don't leave the circle," he said before giving the explosive boy the ball. The blonde stood in the circle and threw the ball while letting off a powerful explosion with yell of die. The class was shocked at how strong the blast was. "The current laws that prevent you from using your quirks without a license are illogical," Aizawa said, showing that the ball was thrown 705.2 meters. The students were excited for the rest of the test. "Insane, so we get to use our quirk for the test. Awesome," Kaminari said. "This is going to be so much fun," Mina practically yelled. "Fun, you say? Do you think this is a game? In that case, whoever comes in last place will be expelled," Aizawa. The students were shocked and began to protest, saying it was their first day and that it was not fair. Hearing their whining, Izuku decided to speak his mind. "If all you are going to do is complain that it is not fair, go talk to the rat about transferring to either a different course or a different school," he said, causing his classmates to look at him. "We are fighting villains, and guess what? They won't play fair. They will kick you in the balls, throw dirt in your eyes, and whatever cheap trick they can do to win. If you are that weak that you think everything should be fair, then do something else to do in your life and stay out of the way," he said with a smirk while grabbing a ball from Aizawa and throwing it. The others glared at him before realizing he was right. No matter how much they hated what he said, villains won't play fair, so they had to learn to deal with it. With everyone on the same page, the test began. The endurance race was simple enough, with Momo and Izuku both getting first. The second event was the standing long jump, which was dominated by Izuku, Uraraka, and Bakugo. The 50-meter dash was simple enough, with Iida and Izuku taking the top spots. Mina dominated the toe touch, shocking everyone with her flexibility. Surprisingly, the great pervert got first in the side jumps by singing his quirk to bounce him around. Once the rest of the test were finished, Aizawa showed the results, which were 1. Izuku 2. Momo 3. Todoroki 4. Bakugo, I don't remember what everyone scored, so I am just going to ignore them. 20. Toru, the invisible girl, was about to cry. Her dreams of being a hero crushed on the first day. "By the way, no one is expelled. It was all a logical ruse to make you give it your all," Aizawa said. "I thought it was obvious," Momo said. "No, he would expel all of us if he wanted to. He expelled his entire class last year," Izuku said before going to get change. The others were shocked and turned towards their teacher only to find him gone. With that, the others went to change and get the class syllabus from the classroom. The next 3 days were a blur, and so far Izuku was not happy. Since May had a class, when he had lunch he had no one to talk to. He saw Kirby and Lightning McQueen having lunch with Pichu. Pervert was trying to sit with Stripper, Druggy, Battletoad, Spirit and Songbird, only to be told to leave. Meanwhile, the rest of the class were scattered around to the cafeteria. He began to think about what he and May talked about after the second day of school. Flashback: Izuku was in his and May's room just channel surfing when May walked in covered in soot. "Oh, thank God, good, you're back, come on, let's go hit the town," Izuku said, trying to not sound desperate. "You know, if you're bored and I am busy, you could ask your classmates to hang out," May said as she used a wet wipe to clean her face. "Why would I do that?" Izuku asked. "Izu, you need to make friends besides me, and no, you can't build more androids. Powerloader banned me from making them," May said, looking upset. "But how are we going to wipe out humanity with just me?" he joked. "I'm serious, I want you to make friends by the end of the week," she said. "Fine, so if I can't build friends like you built me, then how do I make friends?" he asked. "I don't know, try giving the others nicknames, that may help," she said. Flashback: and well, the nicknames didn't work much, but who cares, he is fine with only having May. As he ate, he saw some guy insulting his classmates and it annoyed him. After all, the only one who can insult them is him. He got up and walked up to the group. "So you're 1A, huh?" So I heard one of you got in without taking an entrance exam, he said smugly. Who are you and what does it matter? Juru asked. My name is Monoma from Class 1B and I find it funny that your class is said to be the best yet you have a quirk-less classmate who was accepted for nothing, Monoma said. What does that have to do with us? Momo asked. A lot of people are pissed at losing their place in the hero course, so we want answers, a boy with purple hair. Hey, if you're gonna talk about me then you could actually make sure I was at this table, Izuku said, causing everyone to look at him. So you're the quirkless student, huh? I am, sir, Momoma started but was cut off by Izuku pinching his gut, causing him to fall to the ground. You do know a hero has to be able to take a punch, right? Izuku asked sarcastically. So Princess cared to explain why you get special treatment, the purple-haired boy said. Sure thing, Minizawa, it is simple. I am better than the rest of you, Izuku said as if it was obvious. The rest of the group began to yell at him only for him to ignore them. Before anything else could be said, a red-haired girl, a blonde girl with horns and a guy with grey hair walked up to them. Sorry about our classmate here, my name is Kendo Itsuka, the red-headed girl said. It's fine, just keep him on a leash. Oh yeah, and if anyone in them is group have an issue with me being in the hero course then feel free to fight me for my place in my class, Izuku said before turning away only to be stopped by the sound of Nickelback. Who the hell is listening to this shit? Izuku asked. Hey, country music is awesome, the girl with horns said. Pony, please calm down, Kendo said. Country music suck more than any prostitute in the red light district, Izuku said. Met me outside in 10 minutes so I can kick your ass, Pony said before being knocked out by Kendo. Sorry about that, we'll be going now. With that she dragged her classmates away. Was that really necessary to punch that guy? Sue asked. Yes it was. With that Izuku began heading to the classroom for hero class. A few minutes later, Class 1A was excited for their first hero class and were speculating who their teacher was going to be. Do you think it is a high-ranking pro hero? Kaminari said. I wouldn't be surprised, but which one is the question, Zero said. I am coming through the door like a normal person, All Might said. No way, All Might himself is going to teach us, this is so cool, were some of the reactions. Now for our first lesson, battle trials. The students were shocked and excited. Now if you are going to be heroes then you will need these. With that 20 cases popped out of the wall. These are your hero costumes that you designed now then get changed and meet me at gym beta. With that All Might left and the class went to change. A few minutes later the entire class changed and Izuku felt like he was the odd one out since his hero costume was a pair of blue jeans, some black and white sneakers, a gray long sleeve shirt that was under a black shirt sleeve shirt and an orange bandana around his neck. He also was confused at Momo's costume, it was so revealing and yet when he gave her the nickname stripper she slapped him. Now you all are heroes, now then we will decide the teams by drawing lots, All Might said. With that Team B was against Team H with Team B being the villains. Shoji and Koda made their way into the building with the bomb while Ojiro and Bakugo waited outside. Izuku took this time to find his partner and was glad it was Songbird. Looks like we're partners, Songbird, Izuku said. Never call me that again and please try work with me, Juru said. Whatever, so should we plan now or wait? Izuku asked. Team H wins, All Might called. The two teams came back and it was decided Ojiro was the MVP of the match. Team F made up of Tokiyami and Ioma were the villains while Team C consisting of Iida and Momo were the heroes. As Izuku waited he noticed Koda looked sad and decided to check on him. What's got you bummed out? He asked. It's just that I got beat so easily and was not able to do anything, Koda signed to him. Well, there are no animals here so you couldn't use your quirk. I also noticed you were shaking when you had to fight for yourself, he said. I don't know much about fighting, Koda signed. I can teach you hand-to-hand combat if you want, he offered. Really, that would be great, thank you, Koda signed. No problem, but I won't go easy on you, Izuku said as the class finished naming Tokiyami as the MVP. The next match will be Team A has the heroes and Team J has the villains, All Might said. Welp, looks like me and you are villains, Songbird, Izuku said with a smirk. We're doomed, our opponents are Todoroki and Mina, Juru said. Please, we won't even break a sweat. With that Izuku dragged his teammate into the building. Izuku just looked at the bomb while his partner in crime began to pace around the room. He decided to lay down on some trash bags and closed his eyes. Are you really going to just lay down and wait for them? Juru asked. Yep, as I said, it won't be a challenge to beat them since the emo candy cane refuses to use his fire and I can easily beat Druggy, he said, not even opening his eyes. The prep time is up, heroes can now enter the building, All Might announced. Immediately the entire building was frozen, causing the entire class to assume the heroes won until they looked at screen showing Izuku freeing Juru from the ice. Are you kidding me? He can shrug off an attack like that. How strong did Mei make him? Mineta said, sounding annoyed. From what Mei said, she built him to be able to take on even the strongest villains, so I am pretty sure he could beat anyone in the class, Suyu said. Am I the only one who wants to see him fight All Might? Kaminari asked. Back with the trial, Izuku blasted the ice on Jiraiya's feet before walking away to go deal with the heroes. Todoroki was sure he froze the villains, so the match should be over, so why has it not been called? Before he could figure out, he heard footsteps and saw Izuku round the corner. He let off another wave of ice only for the android to blast the attack. Look, just surrender and I won't have to kill you, Izuku said. Shut up, villain, we won't let you get away with this, Todoroki said as he created a large glacier, destroying most of the building. Young Todoroki using a technique like that is incredibly dangerous, especially if this was real, All Might said. Whatever, it's not like he can't be replaced, he is a machine after all, Todoroki said as Mina began using her acid to climb up the glacier to get to the bomb. Juru plugged both of her jacks into the ice and began letting out an intense sound wave, causing the glacier to crack. Mina managed to hang on and was almost to her, only to be stopped by a hand busting through the ice and grabbing her, e.g. Izuku flew high into the air before throwing Mina at Todoroki. When she was halfway between the two, Izuku stuck both hands out and called out his new technique. Dead End Rain. A barrage of energy fired from his hands, blasting both the heroes and the area around them. After a few minutes he stopped and flew down to find them. Both were injured and knocked out. They are out cold, we win, Izuku said as he flew to Juru. Don't you think that was a little extreme? She asked. Heroes won't get mercy from villains, so it's better to get accustomed to brutal attacks, he said before throwing her over his shoulder and flying back to the class. Now class, who was the MVP? All Might asked. It was Izuku. Despite the fact he didn't seem to take his opponents seriously, he was still able to beat them on his own, Momo said. Very good, now onto the last two matches, All Might said. Team D consisted of Uraraka and Mineta as the heroes against Team E, who was made up of Suyu and Toru. The match was rather dull, with Mineta was clearly trying to, accidentally, grab the girl's chest, while Toru fought off Uraraka. Unfortunately for Uraraka, her partner got captured and the villain team were able to work together and capture her. Then the last two teams, which consisted of Shiro and Kirishima as heroes and Kaminari and Sato as the villains. It was a pretty straightforward match, with Shiro trying to restrain Kaminari only to be shocked until he passed out, leaving the lightning boy in his brain-dead state. Meanwhile, Sato, having ate some sugar, got into an intense fistfight with Kirishima. It was an even fight until Sato's quirk wore off, since Kirishima refused to let up, so with both villains down, the heroes won, with Kirishima being declared the MVP. The next day the classroom was buzzing with chatter, mostly about what they could be learning today. Koda had been talking to Izuku, planning when to start the hand-to-hand combat training. Juru agreed to join them since she also realized she wasn't exactly physically that strong. After a few minutes Aizawa walked in and everyone got into their seats. I watched everyone's matches yesterday and have some critiques. Izuku, take this class seriously or you will be expelled. Bakugo, control your anger, and Todoroki, don't underestimate your opponents because that could get you killed. The three called out had different reaction. Izuku shrugged, not really caring. Bakugo growled out a whatever and Todoroki just said yes sir. Now we have something to discuss that decides your very future, Aizawa said, causing the class to tense up. You need to pick a class representative, he said while everyone thought about how normal that was. Almost immediately nearly everyone began to say how they should be the class representative. Eventually Iida had decided to have everyone vote. After the votes were counted, Izuku was surprised to see he had some votes even if he didn't win. The winners were Momo as the president and Iida as the vice-president. The rest of the day was normal up until lunch. So who voted for me? Izuku asked. I did, and so did Koda, Juru answered, not looking up from her phone. Why me? He asked. Well, you agreed to help train us. You are smart and strong, it just seemed like you would be the best bet, Koda said. He can talk. Juru thought in surprise. Before they could continue, an alarm began to go off, confusing the three. Juru covered her ears while Koda panicked. Izuku had stopped a second year and asked what the alarm was about. That is a Class 3 alarm, meaning a villain has gotten onto campus. With that, everyone ran and began to crowd the exit. Izuku looked out the window and saw reporters and got annoyed. He was having a nice calm day and they had to ruin it. He raised a hand to the window and blasted it, destroying the glass with ease while also gaining everyone's attention. It is the press, all of you calm down, he yelled before jumping out the window and landing next to Aizawa. You all have 3 seconds to leave or I will break all your equipment, Izuku said. We want an interview with All Might, just get out of the way, one reporter said. Izuku then fired an energy blast and destroyed the camera the reporter had, causing the others to panic. Now then, you can either leave on your own or you can have a free ambulance ride, Izuku said. With that, the reporters ran as fast as they could. Izuku flew back to the cafeteria while the staff investigated the gate. Looks like someone disintegrated the gate. Could it have been one of the reporters? Powerloader asked. Maybe, I will double check their quirks, but just in case be careful on any class trips, Nedzu said. To say that Mai was shaking and laughing like a mad scientist would be an understatement. Koda, Kaminari, and Siro were hiding behind shields that Momo had made them. What are you doing? Juru asked. I am glad you asked. You see, I have been experimenting with mixing different metals and chemicals and believe I have found a way to make Izuku's body so strong that would make fire useless on him and make him pretty much indestructible, Mei said as she placed Izuku's head on a strange device. How long will this take? We have a field trip in a few hours, Izuku asked. It shouldn't take too long since I made some of the parts in class, she answered while installing the new leg parts. How are you feel, Izuku? Juru asked. Fine, I guess. Kind of hoping that this field trip is fun, he said. So I am gonna guess Mei is always this excited about inventions, she said. Yep, she even built me to be in the support course, but a student friend the computer and that messed up a lot of programming, he explained. Okay, now the chest has been installed, so now all we need to do is wait for the metal skull to cool down in an hour and you will be good to go, Mei said, grabbing iced coffee from her mini fridge. The three hiding behind the shields look up and let out a sigh of relief. They put the shields away before making their way to the lobby. Welp, I am gonna go do my homework, see ya later, Izu, Mei said. Alright, see you in an hour, he said, bored out of his mind. I got to go. I am in charge of keeping an eye out for Mineta, Juru said before throwing a blanket over his head. Hey, I am not a parrot, he screamed as he was left alone. For the next hour all of one a relaxed, excited, mentally preparing for the field trip. Once the metal skull finished cooling down, Mei replaced his old skull and reassembled him. Once he was ready, he planned to go train and see his new strength, only to be stopped by Aizawa. Time to go. You can either wear your hero costumes or your gym uniforms, he said before walking out of the building. 20 minutes later, everyone was on the bus speculating on what they were going to be doing. I usually say what's on my mind. So why do you want to be a hero, Izuku? Sue asked. Nedzu offered me a chance to try being a hero, and getting to fight people interested me, he said, not even looking up from his phone. Why did Mei make you in the first place? Ojiro asked. She didn't have many friends, so she made me to be her friends, he answered, still not looking at anyone. Can you blame anyone? That girl is insane and smells awful, Mineta said. Insult her again and I will kill you, Izuku said, finally looking up to glare at the small bot. You should not threaten your classmates, Iida yelled. All of you be quiet, we're here, Aizawa said, leading them off of the bus. Welcome to the USJ, Aizawa said. The entire class smiled in excitement as Pro Hero 13 walked out and led them inside. Welcome to the USJ, otherwise known as the Unforeseen Simulation Joint. As you all may know, I am Pro Hero 13 and with my quirk Black Hole I have helped a lot of people. But I can also easily kill people if I don't control my quirk properly, 13 said, causing the students to freeze at the mention of how easily it is to kill. Where is All Might? He was supposed to be here, Aizawa asked. He used too much time, so he will be late joining us, 13 answered, causing Aizawa just grumbled. Now before we begin, I have 4 maybe 5 things. The space hero began to ramble before a black mist appeared in the middle of the facility. Sensei, is this a part of the training exercise? Uraraka asked. Everyone stay back, those are actual villains. 13 protect the kids, Aizawa said before jumping into the fray. Head for the exit, 13 called out, but before they could escape they were cut off by the mist villain. Greetings, I am Kurogiri and we are the League of Villains. We are here to kill All Might, so where is he? The villain now known as Kurogiri asked. He is not here, and even if he was, what would you do? Izuku asked, sizing up the villain. Before Kurogiri could answer, 13 tried using their quick to create an opening only for the villain to open a portal behind the hero. Some of the students screamed in fear while Bakugo and Kirishima charged at Kurogiri only for them to fall into a portal. I will scatter you all from each other now, be good heroes and die. With that, a majority of the class was warped away. With Izuku, really these guys are idiots, he muttered to himself before flying to the boat. He was glad Mei built a radar because he could tell Sue and Mineta were about to land. So do you guys want me to take you back to the entrance or should we fight? He asked. Are you crazy? We can't fight, just break through the ceiling and get us out of here, Mineta said, crying in fear. Whatever, he shrugged. We can't leave everyone, Sue said. Okay, I will take you to the entrance, get Iida out, then I am going to fight the one who can beat All Might. With that, Izuku picked the two up and shot for the entrance. To say Kurogiri was surprised would be an understatement. He had no idea who this green-haired boy was, but he just flew 2 people back. Strange, there was no information on you, he said. Well, let's say I was built to beat villains like you. With that, Izuku disappeared, shocking Kurogiri. Before Kurogiri could react, Izuku appeared behind him and kicked him down the stairs. Sue took the chance to tell Iida to go get the teachers. In a second he busted through the doors and took off. Kurogiri growled before warping next to a man covered in hands. Shigaraki, one of the students, escaped, and there is a student here who didn't have a file, Kurogiri said. Kurogiri, if you were not our escape plan, I would kill you. Nomu, grab Eraserhead. With that command, the beast grabbed the hero's arm, snapping the bone before slamming him into the ground repeatedly. I must admit, you are really cool, Eraserhead, but we are here for All Might, although killing you and a few student will serve as a... Before the villain could finish monologuing, the Nomu was blasted to pieces by Izuku, who took the opportunity to grab Aizawa and fly him to the entrance. Izuku set him down gently before looking at all the villains. He saw the giant beast regenerate and flew down. Well, you all have 2 options, either surrender and pray none of my classmates are hurt, or I can slaughter you all and save my classmates, he said. Cocky, aren't you? What makes you think we... Before Shigaraki could finish, a group of 20 villains were blasted by a large energy blast from the hero. So it is going to be a slaughter then, Izuku said with a smirk. The villains were scared. This kid had not only blasted a large group of them away, but he wasn't even scared. The crusty guy had only laughed and told them to attack. Unfortunately, when the kid said it would be a slaughter, he was serious. He had blasted people through their chest, snapped some neck, and even more. Once there was only a handful of villains, Krusty had gotten pissed. Nomu, kill him, the leader yelled. The monster lunged and grabbed the kid before snapping his arm and slamming him into the ground. The villains let out a sigh of relief. They would live. That was until a barrier of energy sent the Nomu flying away. Nice attempt, unfortunately it just pissed me off even more, Izuku said, snapping his arm back into place. We surrender, just please spare us, one of the villains begged. I will consider it. Now, Krusty Krab, are you going to give up or will you continue to fight? Izuku asked, looking at Shigaraki. I hope you didn't think that the Nomu was defeated already, Shigaraki said. Before Izuku could respond, the Nomu landed behind him and smacked him into the water. Only a few seconds later, Izuku shot out of the water and landed on the ground. He locked eyes with the Nomu and the two charged at each other. Blow after blow, the two didn't even flinch at the other's attack. With neither holding the advantage, the villains were given hope that they would live. Then the doors to the building flew open and in walked the entire UA staff. The heroes all looked shocked when they saw the bodies and the freakish creature the Izuku was fighting. All Might dashed down and grabbed Izuku and brought him to the entrance before fighting the Nomu. Izuku was about to go back but was stopped. He shrugged and went outside with the rest of the students who were looking at him with fear. "What do I have something on my face?" he asked. Why, you killed a lot of people and aren't even phased," Mineta said. "So it was either us or them, and besides, why does it matter?" he asked, confused. "As a hero in training, you should only kill as a last resort," Iida said. "Meh, whatever," he replied. Before the students could continue, the Nomu shot through the roof and went flying off in the distance. It wasn't long after that when the heroes led the surviving villains out and the students were seen by the recovery girl. The police questioned every student. Once they learned Izuku had killed all those villains, then there was an issue. "You are under arrest, put your hands behind your back," the cop told Izuku. "Why am I being arrested?" he asked the cop. "Manslaughter," the officer replied. "I am afraid that he can't be charged for that," Nedzu said. "Why not? What he did was highly illegal. I don't care how strong his quirk is, he still murdered so many people," the cop said. "Yes, but the villains attacked first and were ready to kill them all, so it would be labeled as self-defense, but don't worry, he will still be punished," Nedzu said, while the police chief confirmed what Nedzu said. "Now for your punishment, Izuku, you will write a 10-page paper on why heroes should not use lethal force just because someone threatens their life, and will meet with Hound Dog twice a week," Nedzu said. Izuku shrugged and pulled out his phone to listen to music. Once everything was settled, the students returned to the campus for a night of sleep. The next 3 days were a blur since the students were given a few days off. Once classes began, the student talked about varied from who would be the substitute to what the press had said. This all came to a halt when a mummified Aizawa walled in. "Aizawa-sensei, you should be in the hospital recovering," Iida said. "Don't worry about me. However, your battle has only just begun," he said. "More villains," the students thought in fear. "The sports festival is in 2 weeks," he said. "Are you sure it is a good idea after what just happened?" Kaminari asked. No, Nedzu wanted to postpone it, but the Hero Commission and the government both were against that idea. The sports festival is even more popular than the Olympics, so it could cause a huge uproar if postponed or cancelled. "There will be more security than ever before, and before I forget, Izuku, you will not be allowed to participate because you are technically a support device in the Hero Commission's eyes and it would give Mei an unfair advantage," Aizawa said. "Fine by me, but can I help train them?" Izuku asked. "That is fine, just don't go overboard. Now you will spend my class and your heroics class training," Aizawa said before taking a nap. "All right, anyone want me to help train them?" Izuku asked. Most of the students looked at him afraid and declined his offer. The only two who wanted his help were Jiro and Koda. As the day went on, the students made plans for when and how they would train. At the end of the day, however, they were stopped by a large crowd outside their classroom. "So you're class 1A, huh? You don't look like much," a guy with purple hair said. "Out of my way, extras," Bakugo said. "You can't keep calling people extras just because you don't know them," Iida scolded. "Geez, are all of 1A douchebags, or is it just you?" the purple-haired boy said. "Look, if you are here to declare, get it out of the way so we can go," Izuku said, with Koda and Jiro right behind him. "Cocky, aren't you? What you may not know is that if we do good enough, we can be transferred to the hero course and some of you will be removed," the mystery boy said. "I know. I was built with all of UA's information installed. Besides, you look like you would struggle to pick up a few textbooks," Izuku said. "Hey, I am Tetsu of 1B and I am here to declare war on 1A, a guy with weird eyebrows said. "My name is Shinso Hitoshi, I represent the general education classes and I am here to declare war on 1A, Shinso said. "Okay," Izuku said, walking past them with Jiro and Koda. "Izuku, aren't you scared about losing your place in the hero course?" Koda asked. "Nah, I was told I could not participate, so they don't have a reason to remove me. You two, however, need to build some muscles and confidence, which is what we will be doing for the next 2 weeks," Izuku said with a grin. Izuku looked over some of his class with Mei right next to him. He saw Kaminari, Shiro and Mina playing video games with Ojiro and Toru watching. Iida was reading a book next to Momo, who was eating some sandwiches. Jiro and Koda had just walked into the living room in their workout clothes. "You two ready to suffer?" Izuku asked, smirking. "Whatever, let's get started," Jiro said. "Thanks for doing this, Izuku," Koda said. "No problem, you two are cool, besides Mei has some gear to test, so this is a win-win for me," he replied. I made so many babies with Izuku for this, Mei said. Now for the warm-up, Izuku said while he and Mei put on some strange bracelets before jumping into the arms of their trainees. Koda will carry me and Juru you carry Mei. We have a few stops and will tell you where to go, Izuku explained. How the hell are you this heavy? Juru asked. These bracelets can nullify someone's quirk and increases the wearer's weight. It was made so when teachers fight students during training make it fair now mush. Mei explained before pulling out a collapsible riding crop. What is that for? Juru asked scared. I said mush? Mei said before striking Jirus' ass with the riding crop. With that the two hero course students booked it while their classmates laughed. Bakugo walked into the living room which Kaminari noticed. Hey dude, want to join us for a game or two? He asked. Fuck off dunce face, I got training to do, was all Bakugo said before walking outside. With Izuku, Mei, Juru and Koda 30 minutes later. The two trainees were carrying Izuku and Mei in bridle holds. They had only been running for half an hour but felt like they were going to faint when they reached their first stop. Mei and Izuku jumped out of the other's arms. Mei immediately ran inside the store. Izuku stretched his arms out while Koda and Juru tried to catch their breath. Why is this at the first stop? Juru asked. Mei ordered some supplies from here and she needs it for the sports festival, he explained. After a few minutes Mei walked out with her order, 2 backpacks and 2 bottles of water. She handed Juru and Koda the waters. The two heroes in training thanked her as they drank. Once you two finish those we will go to the next stop, also you will wear these backpacks, Izuku said while Mei put her supplies into one of the backpacks. The two finished their waters and put the backpacks on before Izuku and Mei jumped into their arms. They immediately took off. They ran for another 30 minutes before reaching their second stop, a bookstore. After a few minutes Izuku walked out with 3 bags that held 6 books each and 2 more bottles of water. What books did you get? Koda asked. It's a secret, Izuku said. He ordered a few Pretty Cure and Pretty Cure Doki Doki, Mei said causing Izuku to blush in embarrassment. He quickly put his books into the backpack on Koda's back before the two carried them away. So how bad do you think the rest of the class will do? Izuku asked. I am sure they will do fine, Koda said. I don't know, they didn't seem to be taking the risk of being removed seriously, Mei said. Most of them are probably going to wait till the week before the festival to train, Juru said. Makes sense, but still it would be better safe than sorry, Mei said. After 10 minutes they made it to the third stopping point, an ice cream shop. Why stop here? Koda asked. Consider this a treat for maligning it halfway through today's training, Izuku said before walking in. Izuku is acting different, have you two noticed? Juru asked. He may not show it but he is upset about not being allowed to participate in the festival, Mei said. Really, why though? He has the skills to blow everyone else away, Juru asked. Maybe it's because the hero Kamizen said he was nothing more than a support device, Koda suggested. He's right, Izuku may come off as sarcastic, rude and cocky but he sometimes wishes he was human sometimes, Mei explained before heading inside. The two quickly followed the support course student inside. They placed their order before sitting down at a table. While waiting they talked about their hobbies and their families. So do you guys think the villains will attack during the festival? Izuku asked. No, I think they will wait, they're probably still recovering, Juru said. Yeah, besides after the beating they got they would be stupid to attack Ua again, Mei said. How about after we eat this we just walk around for a bit, can't overwork you on the first day, Mei suggested. Sounds good to me, Juru said. Sure, that sounds fun, Koda said. Alright, Izuku said with a shrug. With their plans set they began to eat their ice cream and think about what stores to go to. Izuku and Mei were stretching in Gym Gamma waiting for Juru and Koda to arrive. They didn't have to wait long as the two walked in talking about the homework Hizashi had given them that day. Are you two ready to work out? Mei asked. Yeah, just let us stretch real quick and we will be good to go, Juru answered before she and Koda began stretching. Izuku and Mei grabbed what appeared to be some high-tech bands. Once the two trainees finished their stretching they put the bands on how they were told. Before either of them could ask about the bands they were nearly dragged to the ground. Oops, my bad, had them set to 100% instead of 10%, Mei said before tapping on her remote. What the fuck are these things? Juru asked. These are special weights designed for heroes who face against students in a sparring session, Mei explained. Is this really necessary? Koda asked. Of course, because when you look like a twig Juru, and two, it will help you get used to carrying extra weight, Izuku explained smugly. Fine then, so what did you plan for our workout? Juru asked. We will start off simple. You two are gonna run 15 laps around the entire gym as fast as you can, and to motivate you to not slack, Izuku will shoot his energy blast at you, Mei said. Please tells me you're joking, Koda said fearfully. Before the two hero students could react, Izuku flew up and began to shoot at them. The two screamed and began to run as fast as they could. Unbeknownst to them, Nedzu watched on the cameras with a smile on his face. What better way to get people moving than extreme danger? He was pulled from his thoughts when a guy in a dark blue suit walked in. Hello, how can I help you? Nedzu asked. I am here to represent the Hero Commission and I have with me a check for 50 billion yen, the man said. Curious, why is the Hero Commission send such a check? Nedzu. Simple, we want that support gear, the man said pointing at the screen. 50 billion yen seems extreme for a monitor, don't you think? Nedzu said sarcastically. You and I both know I was talking about the robot named Izuku, the man said without a hint of amusement. First off, he is an android, not a robot. There is a difference, and second, Izuku has a mind of his own, Nedzu said. It is a machine, just change its programming and have it follow the Hero Commission's orders, he said. You have a lot of nerve to come here and demand I hand over one of my students, Nedzu growled. That thing has been able to fight a pro hero with years of training. If we could make more, we could have an unlimited amount of heroes, the man stated. Do you honestly? I believe that I would trust the Hero Commission with Izuku. Newsflash, I wouldn't trust you all with a chicken sandwich, Nedzu said, glaring at the man. Are you seriously going to turn down this offer for a blasted piece of equipment? The man asked, his voice rising. Let me tell you something. Izuku is a student and is able to make his own decisions. He is more human than he thinks he is. Now get out, Nedzu said. This isn't over, Nedzu. We both know the Hero Commission won't take no for an answer, the man said. With that, the man left, leaving Nedzu alone. After a few minutes and a cup of tea, he called the staff for a meeting. He hoped he could keep Izuku safe from TH Commission. Time flew by as the friends continued to train, and before they knew it, the sports festival. Izuku was with Mei's class, helping hook her gear up after texting good luck to Juru and Koda. Mei, make sure to show off all the babies and kick ass, Izuku said. I plan to. I already have plans for what could happen, Mei said with a smile. The class began to make their way to the arena while Izuku went to the stands. After Bakugo made the best speech he has heard, the first event was announced. Once the obstacle race began, Todoroki froze the ground and took the lead. This didn't last long as a bunch of 1A didn't get caught. As more and more people got past the tunnel, they came across the first obstacle. Izuku laughed his ass off watching Mineta get bitch slapped. Just before Todoroki froze all the 0-pointers and continued. As the robots fell, Izuku worried that Juru, Koda or Mei would be hurt, but to his surprise a large sonic blast destroyed the robot. He saw that the source was Juru. The rest of the race was rather dull, with Todoroki and Bakugo fighting for first place. As the two easily cleared the last two obstacles and finished the race. Juru and Koda were right behind them, claiming third and fourth place. As more and more people finished, Izuku was shocked the Mei came in 22nd place. He was brought out of his musing when he heard someone call his name. He turned and saw 3 people in suits standing there. None of them showed any signs of having a mutation quirk, so he kept his guard up. Can I help you? He asked. We're here on behalf of the HPSC and ask that you come with us, the only female of the group said. Now why would I do that? He asked. I would be wise for you to cooperate with us or else, the woman threatened. Do you honestly think you can beat me in a fight? Izuku asked. We can't beat you in a fight. However, we can decide who gets a provisional license, she said. You and I both know I don't need one of those, Izuku said as he saw Koda, Juru, Mei and Momo team up for a cavalry battle. You don't, but what about your friends Kyoka Juru and Koji Koda? The woman asked sarcastically. Are you threatening my friends, just to get me to go with you? Izuku asked, glaring at the group. No, a threat implies we may not follow through with what we said, she said. Fine, I will go with you, but let me tell you, if you mess with anyone I care about you will regret it, he said before getting up. A wise decision. With that the four left, but unbeknownst to the HPSC, Izuku sent a message to Mei and Nedzu just in case. As Izuku was escorted into the building, he was completely unimpressed. The people who brought him here were bragging about how successful their operations are. He was not sure what to expect when he entered their lackey training facility. To say he was pissed would be an understatement. Some of these people look like high school students, he said. There, we took them in and are helping them master their quirks. These are the next generation of top 10 heroes, one of the female agents said. Do they even want to be heroes? He asked. Of course they do. Every kid nowadays want to be a hero, another guy said. Before they could continue talking, they had arrived at an office. The name plate outside the door said Chi-Chi Hinata, head of operations. He walked in and sat down on a chair as Chi-Chi turned to look at him. Hello Izuku, I have heard a lot about you, she said, waving everyone else out. Well, I am not surprised since you and you lackeys dragged me here. This better be important, he said nonchalantly. Straight to the point, huh? Well then I will make this quick. We want you working for us, she said. Why would I want to work for you? He asked. We have a lot of benefits for people who work for us. We can silence the press about any bad things you do. More money than you could ever need. You could have an easy life by cooperating with us, she said. Okay, now tell me something I care about, he said. Excuse me, she said. Do you honestly? I care about any of that. I don't care about what people think of me, and I could easily earn money as a hero, he said. It would be a mistake to turn down what I am offering, she warned. Be honest, do you think you are strong enough to beat me? He asked with a smirk. I know I can't hurt you. You friends at UA, however, she began before Izuku interrupted. So you have the gall to try and bribe me and then threaten innocent students just because you are not getting what you want, he said, glaring at her. I must do what I can to ensure a safe future, she said. Man, you are really stupid, he said with a cocky smirk. Rude, she retorted. Can't blame me after all. You said and did all of this on a live camera feed that Nedzu is watching, he grinned. What? She yelled. Did you think I would not have a plan for this? Now I am going to leave and I will take any of the teenagers that don't want to be here. Also has a final warning, if you try contacting them or their families again, I will come here and slaughter every single one of you. With that said, he left. Chi-Chi watched the cameras as Izuku led a majority of the teenagers out of the facility. Once he was gone, Chi-Chi's scowl turned into a smirk. I may not have you, Izuku, but if I can't have you then I will just have to build my own android, she said, looking at her computer with scans of Izuku's body. Jiro, Koda and Mei had done it. They were in the final round of the sports festival. Jiru looked at the tournament bracket and saw her first opponent was Ioma in the second round. Koda was in the final match of the first round against Bakugo. Mei got lucky and got Iida as an opponent, and he would no doubt be easy to use for marketing. She looked into the arena and saw Shinso and Todoroki entering the arena. Todoroki raised his foot when the match began. Then Shinso made a comment about how Todoroki was lucky to be blessed with his father's talent. Todoroki yelled at him only to stop after the first word. Shinso then told him to walk out, and he did. Her match was difficult since she couldn't get to. She eventually plugged her earphone jacks into the arena and caused the arena to shake and break apart. As soon as she saw Ioma lose his balance, she rushed him and managed to kick him out of bounds. The next match was Mei versus Iida, to which Mei did her best to market her inventions. Once she made a show of all her babies, she forfeited. The next match was Siro versus Mina, was a game of cat and mouse with Siro trying to catch Mina as she danced around him. After a few minutes, Mina managed to close the gap and delivered an uppercut to his jaws. Before he could recover, she began to drag him out of the arena, winning her match. The fifth match was Kaminari versus Shiozaki, and that ended pretty fast with Kaminari overloading himself and Shiozaki capturing him with her vines. Momo and Tokiyami was an interesting match, with Momo creating weapons so she could try knocking him out. Unfortunately for her, Dark Shadow was both fast and strong and managed to knock her back far enough that she was out of bounds. Tetsu and Kirishima's fight was kind of funny since they were basically the same person. After 10 minutes the two knocked each other out cold. It was decided an arm wrestling match would decide the winner. Bakugo grinned as he stared down Koda, who was shaking. As soon as the match began, Bakugo shot towards Koda to attack, only for Koda to dodge. The cycle of this went on for a bit. What do I do? Koda asked himself. It was then he remembered what Izuku told him. Flashback: Izuku and Koda were sitting in the park where Koda practiced his quirk. Koda, why are you so easily scared? Izuku asked. I didn't go to a great school. Most of the teachers hate people with mutations and I was often bullied by others since my quirk isn't made for hero work, he explained. Okay, so why didn't you fight back? Beat up one of the teachers, slam a bully into the ground? Izuku asked. It would go on my record and then I would have problem getting into a hero school, he explained. If you say so, but remember you and animals are stronger than most, you just need to get angry and I have no doubt you could be a great fighter, Izuku said. How do I get angry? I try to keep calm so I can avoid getting angry and scaring the animals, Koda said. Simple: picture you opponent has either you racist teachers, your bullies or animal abusers, Izuku said. I will try but I don't think it will help, Koda asked. End of flashback. Koda stopped and began to think of his bullies from high school. He remembered every insult, every shove and every bruise he got, and as he did he felt his anger rise. Bakugo was about to hit Koda when Koda grabbed his wrist and glared at him. To say Koda looked pissed would be an understatement. Before he could let off an explosion, Koda raised Bakugo over his head and slammed him back first into the ground. He then flipped him over and slammed him again. He did this 3 more times, tanking a few explosions before stomping Bakugo's head into the ground. After a few seconds of Bakugo not moving, Midnight checked and found that Koda had knocked Bakugo out. With that, the competitors got ready for the second round. Jiro entered the arena across from Iida, trying to calm her nerves. She was worried about Izuku. No one seemed to know where he went. Iida looked ready to end this fast. She would have to end this fast. Are both fighters ready? Midnight asked. Yes, I am, both answered. Then begin, Midnight said. Iida immediately shot forward, planning on dragging Jiro out of the arena. Jiro's jacks slammed into the arena and blew up the ground under her and Iida, sending them both into the air. She then sent her jacks into the untouched part of the arena and pulled herself to it. She barely made it to the platform before getting up and seeing Iida on the opposite end getting up. She sent her jacks into the ground right by Iida's feet and blew it up, sending him into the air again. He turned, but before he could attempt to get back into the arena, he hit the ground. Iida Tenya is out of bounds. Jiro Kyoka wins, Midnight announced while the crowd went nuts. Jiro went to check on Iida, and after the two talked for a bit, they went their separate ways because Iida received a call. Good work out there, a familiar voice said. Jiro turned and saw Izuku walking up to her. Izuku, where have you been? Koda and Mei were worried? She asked. The HPSC sent someone to get me for a chat and threatened you guys if I didn't comply, he answered. I can't believe they did something so shady. What did they want? She asked. They wanted to control me, then I blackmailed them by recording the entire conversation before releasing people they were forcing to be a hero by blowing up a wall, he explained like it was common. What the hell? She muttered while pinching the bridge of her nose. So why were you fighting Iida instead of Shinso? He asked. Nedzu decided each round the competitors would be shuffled around, she explained. Ah, that stoat is crazy, he said with a smile. As they made their way to the class, has Kirishima won the arm wrestling match. Then his next opponent Shinso walked up and the match began. Shinso quickly made a comment about Kirishima's hair dye, which Kirishima began to rebut but stopped before walking out of the arena. What is his quirk? Izuku asked. It must be some kind of hypnosis quirk, but what triggers it still confuses me, Momo said. The next fighters of Tokiyami and Shiozaki walked up and began. Shiozaki launches a series of vines which grabbed Tokiyami and began to move him out of the arena. Before she could put him out, Dark Shadow slashed the vines apart before launching at his target. She then wrapped Dark Shadow in vines only for him to start retreating back to Tokiyami, only to launch back as soon as he was free. This time Shiozaki couldn't react fast enough and was thrown out of the arena by Dark Shadow. With that match over, Koda and Mina made their way into the arena. Once the match began, Mina quickly began speeding around Koda, using her acid to avoid him while throwing random punches and kicks to wear him down. After a few minutes, Koda managed to catch Mina's leg when she tried to kick him. He smirked before spinning in place as fast as he can before eventually releasing Mina, who sailed through the air before landing out of the arena. With the semi-finals were set, and as was Jiro versus Shinso and Koda versus Tokiyami. Koda walked into the arena across from Tokiyami ready for a fight. Once it started, both Dark Shadow and Koda charge at each other, both struggling to push the other back, but Tokiyami slid under Koda and tripped him using the trail that connects him and Dark Shadow. As soon as Koda was knocked off his feet, Dark Shadow lifted him into the air and carried him out of the arena. Despite the loss, Koda had a smile on her face because he came further than he thought he would get. As he made his way out, he wished Jiro luck against Shinso as she walked in. As the fight began, Shinso threw a curveball at Jiro. "Well, if it isn't the hottest girl in the hero course," he said. "EHH," was all Jiro was able to get out before falling into Shinso's quirk and walking out of the arena. With that, Tokiyami came down to fight Shinso for first place. Shinso attempted to get either Tokiyami or Dark Shadow under his control but was unable to. It wasn't long before they threw Shinso out of bounds, winning the tournament. Meanwhile, at the HPSC asterisk, "How long will it take to get the first 3 ready?" an engineer asked. "About 5 months, give or take," his coworker said. "Good, once we finish these androids we can move forward with the plan and the commission will never know," the first one said. After a few days, classes at UA had started back up. Izuku, Jiro and Koda were talking about what they did during their break. Then the bell rang and Aizawa walked in, so the few that were standing quickly made their way to their seats. "Good, you're all in your seats. Before we begin with internship offers, I would like for you to meet your new classmate Hitoshi Shinso," Aizawa said as Hitoshi walked in. "Hello," he said with a smirk. "Sup, Aizawa Jr., Izuku called out. "Who are you?" Hitoshi asked. "Name's Izuku," he answered. Before Hitoshi could ask why his quirk didn't work on him or any of the other questions, he was told to take his seat. "You all did decently during the sports festival and here were the results." With that, Aizawa pressed a button to show the results. Todoroki had the most at 69,420. Iida had second place with 16,034, while Jiro and Koda both had 15,720, tying for third and fourth. As you can see, most of you got a lot of offers, but for those of you with little to no offers, we will provide a list of places you can intern at. Now on to something that can decide your fate. As soon as those words left Aizawa's mouth, everyone tensed up. "You have to decide your hero names," he finished, causing the class to get excited. "Keep in mind they need to be good," he began, only for the door to open. "Or there will be hell to pay," Midnight finished. With that, they passed out boards for everyone to write their hero names. It didn't take too long for people to start coming forward with names. Some were good like Froppy and Uravity, while others were lazy like Sugarman and Tailman. It wasn't long before the only ones without a name were Hitoshi and Izuku. "You two have till Friday to pick a name. Just find Midnight and let her know. You will be given the rest of class to decide where you will be interning," Aizawa said before going to sleep. With that, Izuku looked over his limited options and quickly made his choices. "Hey Izuku, who did you pick?" Jiro asked. "I picked Nedzu for my internship. What about you and Koda?" Izuku asked. "I decided to go with Death Arms," Jiro answered. "I am interning with the Wild Pussycats," Koda said. "Interesting choices. Now how about lunch?" he suggested. "Sure, we can help you think of a hero name while we eat." With that, the three began to leave, only to be stopped by Hitoshi. "Hey Bush Boy, I want to know why my quirk didn't work on you," Hitoshi said, blocking their path. "I'm an android, so if I had to guess, that's why," he answered like it wasn't important. Izuku didn't wait for Hitoshi to respond. Had he just walked by, the boy followed his friends. The three swung by the support department to pick up Mei before making it to the cafeteria.
"So you haven't got an idea for what kind of hero you want to be or what your hero name should be," Mei repeated. "Yep, and while I could just use my name, I want to stand out and show the world that I am here," he explained. "I think we can think of something," Mei said as she finished her sandwich. "My hero name will be Datastream," Izuku said. "Embracing your android side, a good idea," Midnight said. "Honestly, I just put a few suggestions in a hat and pulled at random," Izuku said casually. "My hero name will be Logical Ruse," Shinso said. "Are you trying to give Todoroki even more fan fuel?" Izuku asked. "What?" Shinso asked, confused. "Don't worry about it anyway, I am going to take an internship with Maruko," Izuku said. "You got an internship from her?" Midnight said, confused. "Yep, along with a letter saying, and I quote, 'Get over here so I can kick you ass tin can,'" Izuku read. Are you sure you want to go with her? She has never worked with anyone before. Midnight asked. Yep, and by the end of this I may have a pet bunny, Izuku said, walking off. The next day asterisk. You all are not to wear your hero costumes unless you are on patrol and behave you're representing UA, Aizawa said as he dismissed them. So where are you two heading off to? Juro asked. I am heading for Maruko, Izuku said. I am going to the wild pussy cats. I hope they can help me build my confidence, Kota said. You have shown improvement. You don't stutter anymore and talk instead of signing to everyone, Juro said as she and Kota boarded the train. See you later, Izuku, the two said as they train departed. Izuku made his way to Maruko's house since she didn't have an agency. As soon as he walked in, Maruko tried to drop kick him, ready to knock him on his ass, the key word being tried as Izuku formed an energy barrier to block it. So you think you're hot shit? Izuku said with a smirk. Better than you, bitch, Maruko said before the two began a heated battle. With Kota. Welcome Kota, our headquarters, Mandalay said. Welcome. The rest of the team cheered. Thank you for the warm welcome, but I have to ask who the child is, Kota asked. This is my nephew Kota, he lives with us, Mandalay said. Hello Kota, my name is Kota, Kota said, slightly bowing. Whatever, was all Kota said before leaving. I am sorry about that, he is not a fan of heroes, Mandalay said. It's okay, he actually reminds me of a friend at UA, Kota said. The next day with Izuku. 24 hours. They had been fighting for 24 hours with no sleep or food. Currently Izuku was standing over an exhausted Maruko holding a carrot above her. Now what have you learned? He asked sarcastically. That androids are bullshit, she answered, glaring at him. Correct, so what now? He asked. Simple, before she could finish, the news played. This just in, strange monsters are attacking Hosu. The reason is still unknown, but heroes are arriving on the scene. With that, Izuku turned off the TV. Wait, isn't the hero killer in Hosu? She asked. Yeah, why? He asked. We're going to hunt that son of a bitch down, and if we see a monster, whoever beats it wins, she said. I'm in, let's go, he said. Izuku flew with Maruko on his back all the way to Hosu. Just as they arrived, two Nomu jumped them in an attempt to ambush the duo. The keyword being attempt, as the two easily countered the attacks and sent the Nomus into the ground. Well, that was a warm welcome, Izuku said, landing by one of the Nomus before blasting it to pieces. Before the two could begin their search, Manuel approached then. Have you guys seen Tenya? I think we got separated during the attack, Manuel asked. Nope, but he probably went to fight the hero killer for crippling his brother, Izuku said without a hint of concern. He wouldn't actually do that, would he? Manuel panicked. Revenge can be one hell of a motivator, but don't worry, we will save him, Maruko said before Manuel was called away to help with the evacuation. You know, even if we save him, he would have to deal with Nedzu when receiving his punishment, right? Izuku said as the two ran through all the back ways. It only took a minute for them to find Iida, Stain, and Native. Stain had his blade raised, prepared to stab Iida, only to be stopped by two kicks to the face. Before Stain could recover, Izuku blasted him before relaxing. Welp, that was dull. You are in so much trouble, Iida, Izuku said before he felt something bounce off his back. He turned around and saw Stain charging at him and Maruko. Maruko rushed forward and landed a powerful kick to Stain's gut. Stain pulled off one of his throwing knives and stabbed it into her leg. He was flung back before he could remove it. Landing on his feet, Saturn charged them again while calling them fakes and ranting about something. Neither of them paid attention. Stain slashed Izuku's chest and quickly licked the blade in order to even the odds. As soon as his tongue touched what he thought was blood, he began spitting on the ground. With him distracted, the pro hero and her intern kicked both sides of his head, knocking the villain out. With Stain knocked out, they grabbed Iida and Native and walked out, dragging Stain behind them. Luckily, an ambulance was nearby and took them all to the hospital. Time skip. Manuel began to scold Iida when the police chief walked in. Apparently they wanted to help Iida by saying he was trying to help Native and couldn't get away before Stain paralyzed him. Hey chief, who was getting the credit for beating Stain? We got a bet to settle, Maruko asked. Both you and your intern are both being credited for the capture of Stain, the chief explained. Damn it, Maruko said. So why are you guys showing Mr. Roboto here mercy? What he did was vigilante-like, Izuku asked. Nedzu said he wanted to deal with young Iida himself, and I feel nothing we do could be as bad as whatever Nedzu is planning, the chief answered before walking out of the room. Welp kid, looks like it's a tie now, let's go back to my place. With that, the two left, giving Manuel and Iida some privacy. Another time skipped to after the internships. Izuku walked into class where everyone was talking to one another. He got a good chuckle after seeing Bakugo's new hairstyle. After a few minutes, Aizawa walked in and everyone got into their seats. It seems most of you had good internships. Before we continue, I was told to let you know Iida was suspended for a bit but will be back for the final exams. After this was said, the students began asking questions only to stop when Aizawa flared his quirk. Now your finals are in 2 weeks. If you pass, you will get to go to the summer camp UA holds, but if you fail, you will remain here and will have remedial classes with me, Aizawa said before crawling into his sleeping bag to leave the class to panic. Sir, where is Iida? Mina asked. Iida was removed from the hero course for going AWOL during his internship, Aizawa explained, surprising everyone. Let this be a lesson: emotion can be good motivators, but they are also just as likely to get you killed, and never keep your personal life and your hero career separate. With that, he took a nap. I can't believe Iida would do something like that, Momo said. Yeah, he was always about the rules, Jiro said, looking at Momo. Yeah, well, it happened, and now to cause some chaos, Izuku said while the two looked at him confused. There is a written exam made by Nedzu himself and you have to pass it to go on the trip, he announced to the class. We're doomed, a good portion of the class yelled, mainly Mina and Kaminari. Yep, well, I am off to find Mei and hit the old punching bag, Izuku said. Why don't we form study groups, then we can all prepare for the test, Momo suggested. Momo, you are a saint, thank you so much, Mina and Kaminari said, crying tears of joy. We can go study at my place. I will have the chefs prepare tea and snacks, Momo said with a big smile. With Izuku. Izuku watched as Mei built a ray gun of some kind. He handed her tools when needed and told Mei about his final exam. Are you going to study with the others? She asked. No reason to. I already have everything that could be on the test programmed into me, he said, sounding bored. Then why don't we go see a movie or something? We are both prepared for our finals, she suggested. That could be fun, let's check what's playing after lunch, he said as the two went to the cafeteria. When they arrived, Izuku and Mei sat with Jiro, Momo, Kota and Uraraka. They were having a peaceful until an annoying blonde that wasn't Bakugo tried to elbow Izuku's head, only to hurt himself. Did you just try to attack me? Izuku asked casually. Sorry, it was just hard to get by with your big hair, Monoma said. Welp, hope you enjoyed your arms before you lose them, Izuku said, preparing to cut off the blonde's arm only to be stopped by someone else. Damn it, Monoma, I can't take my eyes off you for a moment without you causing problems, Kendo said, holding an unconscious Monoma. As an apology, let me tell you what I heard about the finals. I heard that the opponents for the finals are the same robots from the entrance exam, Kendo explained. What are you do? Monoma began, only for Izuku to punch him in the stomach. Now that he is quiet, thank you for the heads up, Izuku said as the redhead dragged her classmate away. Well, that was nice of her, Momo said. Nedzu is going to change that exam for sure, Izuku said. What makes you so sure he will? Uraraka asked. Because Nedzu knows what we are going to expect and will change it for kicks, Izuku said.
Plus you guys have been attacked a lot, so they may want to go plus ultra and make the exam harder, Mei said while she finished her spaghetti. I pray you both are wrong, Jiru said. With that, lunch went by fast and so did the rest of the day. Meanwhile at the HPSC*, so how long until they're ready? The president asked. A few more weeks, maybe a month and a half, the mechanic answered. Hurry up with it, the sooner they're finished the sooner we can begin the plan, the president ordered. Sir, it is risky enough building these things, but to rush it would certainly lead to major problems, the mechanic explained. Just do as you're told. With that the mechanic left. Soon I will be unstoppable, the president grinned. Most of Class 1A studied like crazy. They wanted to go on the class trip after all. Most being all but Momo and Izuku, since they didn't have to worry since they are smart. It felt like only a day had passed when it was actually a week went by. You all will have 1 hour to complete this test. After that you will eat lunch before making your way to Gym Delta for that practical portion of the test. You may now start the test, Aizawa said. With that everyone began to answer the questions. Izuku and Momo breezed through it so they had to wait for the rest of the class. Izuku swears he heard some of them crying. After an hour the class made their way to the cafeteria. While they ate some discussed the test to compare answers. As soon as they finished eating they quickly changed into their hero costumes and made their way to the gym. Hello Class 1A, are you ready for the practical exam? Nedzu asked while sitting in Aizawa's scarf. Hell yeah, those robot won't stand a chance, Kaminari and a few others said. I am glad you're excited because I decided this year's exam will be different. Instead of fighting robots you will be fighting a teacher. Nedzu explained, causing most students to become pale. You're kidding, there is no way we can beat them, some of the students screamed. Now don't worry, we will be wearing these special bands to weaken ourselves so you have a chance, or if you don't want to fight you just need to make it to the gate, Nedzu explained. We have brought back young Iida for this exam so everyone will have a partner, Aizawa explained. Now for the teams, Iida and Ojiro will be against Powerloader, Nedzu called out. Aw man, I wanted to punch punching bag, Izuku grumbled. Shoto and Yaoyorozu will be against Aizawa, Mina and Kaminari will be against Nedzu. The two swore. Both Nedzu and Izuku chuckled with sadistic glee. Mineta and Siro will face Midnight. Tsuyu and Tokiyami will be against Ectoplasm. Sato and Kirishima will be against Cementos. Uraraka and Ioma will fight 13. Toru and Shoji versus Snipe. Jiro and Koda will face Present Mike. And Bakugo and Izuku will face, before Nedzu could finish, All Might landed in front of them all. Me, was the only thing All Might said. We will give you all 10 minutes to plan how you want to go about your exam, not that it will help some of you, Nedzu said with a laugh before the teachers walked away. While most students began to plan how to avoid their teachers, some had different plans. Izuku looked at Bakugo with a smirk and both knew the plan they were going with. Izuku and Bakugo stood at the entrance of the fake city where All Might was waiting. Alright, so should I lure him out because I got some ideas of how to do it, Izuku said with a smirk. Go for it, and once he's in sight hit him with everything you got, Bakugo said, letting off some explosions. You have 15 minutes to either pass the gate or capture your opponent, now begin, Nedzu announced. The two made their way into the center. Unbeknownst to them, All Might was watching them. Young Bakugo shouldn't be a problem, but young Izuku is going to be a challenge. Maybe I should stay hidden and wait out the time, All Might thought. Hey All Might, your mom is so ugly. When Abara saw her in church she became an atheist. Your mom is so stupid she cheated off Kaminari's test. Your mama is so ugly even Mineta wouldn't be turned on by her. Izuku continued to make yo mama jokes to try and piss off All Might. All Might really wanted to punch his student right now but held himself back. That was until Izuku finally hit a nerve. What does your niece Melissa and a bong in the 1960s have in common? They're passed around a room for everyone to use, Izuku said, finally angering the hero who landed in front of the two. Now I am pissed. You're going to regret all those jokes, All Might declared. Not as much as you should regret getting that haircut, Izuku said just before being sent flying into a building in a single punch. Worth it, Izuku said as she shot at the hero. All Might blocked the punch Izuku threw at him. He was about to retaliate when a powerful explosion hit his back. The sudden blast created an opening for Izuku to kick the hero in the face and send him flying into the store. So are we knocking him out or cuffing him? Because either is fine with me, Izuku asked. Beat him down then cuff him, Bakugo answered before shooting into the air. All Might shot out of the building aiming a punch at Bakugo only for Izuku to block it. Izuku quickly flew behind the hero and blasted him in the back. Before All Might could retaliate, the sound of explosions caught his attention. Howitzer impact, Bakugo yelled, hitting All Might with a powerful explosion, shooting the hero into the ground. Think that did it? Izuku asked before All Might shot out of the rubble and clothes lined the two before slamming them into the ground. Does that answer your question, dumbass? Bakugo said sarcastically before blasting All Might in the face, causing him to back up from them. Yes, it does, and I think it's time we end this because we only have 3 minutes left, Izuku said as he and Bakugo charged at the hero. All Might rushed at the two as he noticed Izuku's grin but didn't have time to act as he had to block a blast from Bakugo. What All Might didn't see was Izuku slide between his legs before throwing a punch with all his might straight into the hero's family jewels. All Might froze in pain, giving the two heroes in training time to cuff him. Izuku and Bakugo passed. Nedzu announced while the two students' fist bumped before walking away, leaving All Might on the ground. Class 1A are sitting in class waiting for Aizawa to get the results of their final exams. Eventually Aizawa walked in, and everyone sat down. "Good morning. Now I am sure you all are wondering about your results," Aizawa said blandly while the students started talking. "Quiet. Now then, most of you passed the test. Here are your results." With that, Aizawa pressed a button displaying who passed. The only ones to fail were Kirishima, Sato, Mina, Kaminari and Shiro. They looked sad but began to wish the others the best and to send them postcards from the camp. Aizawa watched with a smirk, enjoying his students suffering like every teacher. "By the way, all of you are going on the summer camp trip," Aizawa said, surprising everyone. Those who failed began to cheer. "I wouldn't cheer if you failed. After all, the training you're going to go through is going to be more intense," Izuku said, smirking while the students who failed turned pale. With this new knowledge, most of the class agreed to go to the mall and get their supplies. The only ones not going were Todoroki, Bakugo and Izuku. The first two didn't want to go because they didn't want to hang out with anyone, and Izuku didn't go because he didn't need anything. When school ended, Izuku made his way to the support lab to grab Mei. When he got to the support lab, he walked in on punching bag trying to pull Mei out of the door. He wasn't sure whether he should get a camera or help. "You can wait a few weeks to finish your gear," Powerloader said, trying and failing to remove Mei. "No, I need to work on my babies," Mei said, nearly dragging Powerloader back into the lab. Just how is she so strong, Powerloader thought before noticing Izuku and signaling him for help. After debating it, Izuku walked up to Mei and bonked her on the head, knocking her out. He then punched his personal punching bag in the gut. After picking up Mei and flew back to the dorm and put Mei in her bed. He was just going to go for a drive in his truck when Mei's mom called and asked him to go to the mall and pick up an order that just arrived. With a sigh, he drove to the mall, which was the same mall his classmates were getting their supplies at. As he picked up Ms. Hatsume's parcel, he was about to leave when he saw Krusty Krab with one hand wrapped around Uraraka's throat. He got behind the villain and grabbed the back of his head. "Well, Krusty, you have two options: let her go or die. It's your call," Izuku said casually. "Oh, and what makes you think I won't kill her before I die?" Shigaraki said, glancing at Izuku. "Confident, aren't ya? How about a deal? You let her go and I let you go," Izuku suggested. "Do you honestly think I am dumb enough to believe that?" Shigaraki asked rhetorically. "No, if you were stupid your boss would have killed you long ago, but since he kept you alive, then either you're a mastermind or you have potential to be one," Izuku said. "Did you forget that I am the leader of the League of Villains? I am the boss," Shigaraki said while Uraraka felt like she was completely ignored. "I don't believe that. When we first met you were acting like a child throwing a temper tantrum. With how you acted, I can't imagine anyone would be willing to work for you," Izuku said, lowering his arm that was aimed at Shigaraki. "You're smart, I will give you that, but know that it won't be enough to stop me," Shigaraki said before letting Uraraka go and walking away. As soon as he was gone, the two reported it to the police and a nearby hero. Once the authorities got the full details, they began searching for the villain. The hero scolded Izuku for confronting Shigaraki instead of getting him or the police, to which Izuku told him that the situation required someone who uses their head. Uraraka dragged Izuku away before he could start a fight with the hero. Once the police realized Shigaraki was gone, they made sure to inform Ua. Since the teenagers finished what they were doing, Izuku dropped off the parcel to Mei's mother before returning to the dorm. For the rest of the week, nothing else seemed to happen other than packing for the camp. Which led to the bus ride that was insanely dull. Hours of his classmates talking about how excited they were about the camp they were, or speculating what kind of things they would do at the camp. Izuku wished Mei was allowed to attend, but the support course had its own camp. After hours of a dull bus ride and road games, they had finally made it to the mountain top near the camp. The students got off the bus and began to look around when some voices reading a magical girl manga script got the class's attention. They turned and saw the wild pussycats posing. "Aizawa, why are there cat-themed hookers here?" I doubt Nedzu would encourage your sexual fantasies. Midnight most definitely, Izuku said, staring at Aizawa. I see what Nedzu meant when he said there was a very rude student who insulted people, the girl in red said. He was either talking about me or it could be Bakugo, Izuku said, ignoring Bakugo's screams. Allow me to introduce my teammates first. I am Mandalay. The blonde is Pixie Bob. The one with green hair is Ragdoll and the wall of muscle is Tiger, Mandalay said while Tiger held back Pixie Bob from hitting Izuku. The camp is 3 hours that way, Mandalay said, pointing to the mountain range. Before anyone could react, Izuku took off flying to the campsite, confusing the other students. Unfortunately, this distracted the class while Pixie Bob used her quirk and dropped them into the forest. While they slid into the forest, Ragdoll told them to hurry to the campsite for dinner. The class side prepared to run. A roar of an unknown beast caught their attention and they realized that they had to fight their way to the campsite. The sun was setting on what most of Class 1A was one hell of a day. First, Aizawa pulled another logical ruse, causing them to have to run into the forces them to run from Pixie Bob's Earth Beast, and finally when they got to the camp they learned that 1B was dropped off directly at the camp. As they walked in they saw Izuku watching TV with some random kid while the WWPC finished dinner. Izuku, you're a dead man, most of the class screamed, causing the android to look at them. How many died in the woods? Was all he said before putting up energy barrier repelling his classmates. I told you we weren't going to kill anyone, Mandalay said. But Mineta is a creep and possible a groomer, Izuku said, ignoring Mineta's protest. As for you all, sorry about, but good news, we finished dinner and after you eat we have a hot spring for you all to use, Mandalay said. The hot spring is separated by genders and we want no peeking, Pixie Bob said. Before we eat, I was curious, whose child is this? Iida asked, chopping the air. Oh, that's my nephew Koda, he lives with us, Mandalay explained. I see it is a... Iida began to try and shake Koda's hand only to be punched in the balls. Nearly every guy winced in pain as Iida fell to the ground clutching his crotch. The guys who didn't wince were Bakugo and Izuku, who smirked at the scene. Mandalay for her part tried to scold Koda only for him to ignore her and say something about heroes sucking. With that the 1A ate their fill and were currently relaxing in the hot springs when Mineta decided to try climbing the wall separating the baths. Izuku was about to fly up and stop him when Koda popped up and slapped Mineta back down. Unfortunately, Koda turned when he heard his name and saw the girls. He flinched back and fell off the wall. Thankfully, Izuku was fast enough to catch him. The following morning, Aizawa and Vlad King woke everyone up at 6 a.m. and began the training. Izuku, however, was instructed to help the WWPC since he couldn't improve being an android and all. Some complained about it, mainly Mineta and Monoma, about how unfair it was for the cyborg to not have to train, only to be silenced with a kick to their faces. I am an android, not a cyborg, there is a difference, and since you two are so scrawny, how about a 10-mile run? Izuku said, readying an energy blast before chasing the two. Should we stop him? Vlad asked, worried that the two won't make it. No, they need to realize that they need to train their bodies instead of just their quirks, Aizawa said before zipping up his sleeping bag and going to sleep. How does he do this? Vlad asked himself, looking at his sleeping coworker. The next few days were more or less the same, have students train till lunch then eat and repeat until the final day. While it started like all the others at the end when it was decided that they would do a Forest of Courage exercise. It went fine for a while and the Love decided to attack. Most of the students tried to make it to the camp but were stopped by Nomus. Izuku, however, was stopped by someone else. So your villain name is Muscular? He asked while Koda hid behind him. Yeah, what about it? Muscular asked, just wanting to kill the two. It's a stupid name, honestly, it's just a basic description of your body type. Anyway, I am going to throw you off this mountain now, so bye, Izuku said casually. Ha ha ha, I would like to see. Muscular began only for Izuku to knee him in the face, knocking him into the air before blasting him with a powerful energy blast, sending the villain flying. Did you kill him? Koda asked, still shaken up from the encounter. Maybe, honestly, it depends on his durability. With that, Izuku flew Koda to the camp before going out to save the others. First, he stumbled on two people who had Pixie Bob on the ground and figured it would be better to interfere, and with a dash rescued the heroine. After giving the heroine to her teammates and telling them to the camp, he turned to the villains, who called two Nomus. You guys want to surrender and save me the trouble of breaking your bones? Izuku offered, fighting the Nomus with ease. You're pretty confident, but these Nomus are more than enough to beat you, the lizard-looking villain said. Also, I identify as a woman, the average-looking person said. Yeah, I wasn't programmed to care enough about people who try to kill children, so fuck off. With that, Izuku released a large explosive blast, incinerating the Nomus before quickly knocking out the woman. The lizard grabbed her and ran. Izuku gave chase but held back so they could find the leader of the attack. Unfortunately, he was stopped when a large shadow crushed him. He looked at the source and saw some students trying to stop Tokiyami, who lost control of Dark Shadow. Izuku sighed before creating an energy barrier and began using the light it produced to try and calm Dark Shadow. It took a bit, but thankfully he was successful, at least until a magician showed up and turned the bird into marble before running away. They gave chase and were eventually led to Shigaraki, a guy covered in burns, and a blonde girl. The blonde girl immediately rushed Izuku and stabbed a needle into his neck, draining what she believed was blood. As the students fought, a portal opened and the villains began to retreat, only for a laser to nearly hit the magician, causing him to drop a marble that turned into Tokiyami. With that, the villains fled and all the students made their way to the camp to recover. It was quickly discovered that Bakugo and Ragdoll were kidnapped. With the attack over, they all made their way to Ua to recover and plan a rescue. When the students and teachers returned to campus, Nedzu called for a staff meeting and ordered all students to return to their dorms. With the teachers, "All right, we need to figure out how to track down Bakugo and Ragdoll. Anyone have any suggestions or updates on who was captured?" Nedzu asked. "Thanks to Izuku, we have both Muscular and Magna in custody, and all the Nomu were wiped out," Vlad said. "I got a message from Naomasa saying that Magna is willing to tell us where the love base is in exchange for a reduced sentence," Aizawa said. "Tell Naomasa that we will accept Magna's offer, but we will only sign the paperwork as long as the information is true," Nedzu said while Aizawa texted Naomasa. "We should figure out who will be on the task force with me when we raid their base," All Might said. "I have already contacted Endeavor and Gran Torino to help, along with Hawks, Maruko and Ryukyu," Nedzu said, looking over the information Naomasa sent him. "Should we have someone watch over the students?" Ectoplasm asked. "I will watch over them, but on the topic of students, should Izuku join the raiding team? He is strong enough to be a pro and could be useful," Powerloader said. "Yes, Izuku will join in the raid if he wants to, but if he refuses we won't force him," Nedzu said. "Knock knock. Come in, Izuku," Nedzu said, not even looking at the camera. "Sup everyone, let's go deal with the League and save to Chihuahua," Izuku said casually. "Fine, we got a plan in order. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we begin?" Nedzu asked. The only person to speak up was Endeavor. "This brat will just get in the way. Why are we bringing him?" Endeavor asked, gesturing to Izuku. "Because I was made to be better than nearly every pro hero in the world, so if it bothers you, feel free to retire. Do you understand, Campfire?" Izuku said arrogantly. "Watch your mouth, boy," Endeavor snarled. "Now is not the time for fighting, you two," Nedzu said in a cold tone. Both Endeavor and Izuku looked away from each other and began making their way to the League of Villains base. For the next hour, the pros were quietly evacuating as many civilians as they could. As the pros were evacuating everyone, the students were making their moves in order to rescue Bakugo, all the while the League of Villains were doing their best to try and recruit Bakugo. An hour later, the pros had made it to where Bakugo was being kept and busted through the wall. Izuku and Gran Torino quickly knocked out Dabi and Kurogiri before what could only be described as a massive explosion cleared the entire city. As the smoke cleared, All for One just floated there giving an evil speech. That was until a fist suddenly burst from his chest with his heart in hand. The hand immediately crushed the heart before energy exploded from the figure behind the villain, disintegrating the legendary villain. The only thing left was the one who killed the villain. The person was as buff as All Might, with maroon skin, orange eyes, a white mullet that stopped between his shoulders, and a pair of dark purple jeans. "Who the hell is this?" Endeavor asked no one in particular. "This is what I have had my employees work on." Everyone turned and saw Chi-Chi of the HPSC approaching them. "Meet Android 100. He is the ultimate hero who will follow any order I give him," Chi-Chi said. "Now Android 100, I want you to." Before she could finish the command, Android 100 appeared right in front of her and in a split second crushed her head into nothing. The heroes surrounded the new android who just grinned before it finally spoke. "Now then, time for some real fun," Android 100 said with a grin ready to kill. The soldiers of the HPSC opened fire on Android 100 only for the bullets to do nothing while the android just stood still. After a few seconds he shot a barrage of energy blast, killing the army in a matter of seconds. A scientist who was hiding pulled out a remote and pressed the button. When nothing happened, the scientist pressed the button as fast as he could, only to stop when an arm burst through his back holding his beating heart. "Did you honestly think that I wouldn't remove the bomb that you fools planted inside of me?" Android 100 said before crushing the heart with ease. "Brutal. So how do you want to do this?" Izuku asked, looking his fellow android in the eyes. "It's simple. I am going to kill you and every human on this planet to prove that I am strongest in the world," Android 100 said before blasting a group of heroes without even looking at them. "So my carbon copy thinks he is better just because he killed a few people? Honestly, how pathetic," Izuku said, shaking his head. "How dare you!" Before Android 100 could finish, Izuku kicked him in the face, sending him flying back. "So would you like to give up now?" Izuku asked, only for Android 100 to get up as if nothing happened. "I am going to enjoy breaking you," Android 100 said. However, before either android could move, a certain blonde oaf joined in. "Detroit Smash!" All Might yelled, punching the white-haired android only for the smoke to clear and show the hit barely did anything. "Fine, I will take you both out." With that, Android 100 roundhoused All Might, sending him flying past Izuku. Before Izuku could react, he was punched in the face and sent flying into All Might. The two heroes managed to land on their feet before rushing at their foe. The three clashed, throwing punches and kicks faster than the eye can see. However, it appeared that none of the heroes' attacks fazed Android 100. After jumping back to get some space, Endeavor blasted the evil android only for the android to appear in front of the fire hero before punching him in the stomach. As Endeavor coughed up blood, Android 100 was about to kill Endeavor. Maruko and Gran Torino attacked from both sides only for their attacks to do nothing. Android 100 grabbed both their legs and began slamming the two into the ground repeatedly. He then threw the two into Endeavor and began to charge an energy blast to kill them. He was stopped, however, by Izuku delivering a swift kick to the jaw, causing the villain's mouth to explode. All Might uses this chance to get the other heroes out of the area. Izuku watched as the smoke cleared and Android 100 stood still as his jaw repaired itself. "Of course they had to go with self-regeneration," Izuku muttered to himself. "It is honestly so cute. How you think you stand a chance?" Android 100 said before rushing Izuku.
The two androids continued to exchange blows, however it seemed the Izuku's attacks were not doing much. It wasn't long before Android 100 got the upper hand and began to damage Izuku. Izuku tried to defend using his energy barrier only for Android 100 to punch through the barrier with ease. Then Android 100 punched straight through Izuku's stomach before lifting him.
"Did you honestly think you could beat me? I was made to be better than All Might, better than you. It's hopeless. There is nothing you can do," Android 100 taunted. "There is one thing," Izuku said. "Oh yeah, and what is?" Android 100 began only for a fist to bust through his chest. "I can distract you," Izuku said before shoving his hands into the villain. "Good work, young Izuku," All Might said as he removed his arm. "Lucky shot, now die," Android 100 said only to realize he couldn't move. "Why can't I move?" he asked, getting even more angry. "The HPSC used my system design and didn't move where the parts that allow me to move. Those idiots, but it doesn't matter, I can regenerate from this. We both know there is nothing can stop me," Android 100 taunted while Izuku exploded some energy inside the villain, causing slight damage that was instantly healed. The rest of UA's staff approached with other heroes in tow. Powerloader began examining Android 100's body while Endeavor tried to melt him. However, nothing worked. They couldn't even hack him. "Not to be rude, but hurry the fuck up," Izuku said, detonating explosions to try and prevent the android from moving. "Nothing's working," Nedzu said, causing Android 100 to laugh. "Of course nothing works. There isn't a goddamn thing on this planet that can kill me," as he said that dread began to feel when Izuku had an idea. "Maybe not on this planet, but I wonder if you could survive a dip in the sun," Izuku said while Android 100 laughter. "You fools don't have the time, the resources, or the ability to pull that off," Android 100 taunted. We have one way, Izuku said, causing Android 100 to look concerned for a second. Young Izuku, what is your idea? Nedzu asked. Hey, All Might, do me a favor, Izuku said. What can I do to help? All Might asked. Make sure Koda and Kyoka become great heroes, Izuku said. What are you saying? You three will make fine heroes, All Might said, praying that he was wrong about Izuku's plan. Izuku, there has to be another way. You can't be seriously considering that, Nedzu said. We don't have any other options, Izuku said as he began flying up with Android 100, who now looked afraid. You can't be serious, there is no way you would survive, Android 100 said, trying his best to stop Izuku. I know, Izuku said before looking at Powerloader. Take care of Mei for me, Powerloader sensei. With that, Izuku shot off into the sky while the heroes tried calling out to him. It only took a few minutes before the two androids were in space. Izuku kept flying at the sun while Android 100 tried to barter with him. Look, if you let me live, I will leave this galaxy and never bother you or your planet ever again, Android 100 said, desperation in his voice. That's what this trip to the sun is for, Izuku said as he began to remember all the times he, Mei, Kyoka and Koda all hung out. Wish I could have said goodbye. I hope they can forgive me, Izuku though, before closing his eyes, and as he quickly approached the sun. To say the next few weeks were a blur would be an understatement. Villains began attacking more frequently since All Might retired. The police were helping the heroes both with the villains and investigating the HPSC, which was very corrupt. Construction workers were working around the clock to help rebuild everything that was destroyed. After the investigation began, it didn't take long to find evidence. Hell, it didn't even take an hour. Needless to say, the entire HPSC was arrested and their victims were compensated. This led to Lady Nangent getting released from Tartarus and becoming the new HPSC president, with Hawks acting as vice president. However, it wasn't easy for a certain few people to adjust after what had happened. At UA support course dorms, Powerloader walked out of the building, letting out a sigh of disappointment. He has been trying for weeks to get Mei back to her old self, but it wasn't working. Ever since Izuku sacrificed himself, she just seemed to shut down. He even offered her unlimited lab access, but she didn't budge. I take it she still isn't budging. Powerloader turned and saw All Might approaching him in his true form. No, she is taking this really hard. I guess I shouldn't be surprised considering he was basically family to her, but still, if I can't get her out of that room, we won't have a choice but to expel her, Powerloader said. Well, I think I have a way to help her, since we just finished talking to the parents of the hero course students. Her friends young Jiru and young Kodai will be here later today. How about we ask them to talk to her? They may be able to get her out of her funk, All Might suggested while the two pros made their way to the teacher dorms. As the two walked in, they saw Nedzu, Nomori, Aizawa and Yamada watching TV while going over the student rosters for the general education. Nedzu greeted the two as the two sat down on the only free couch. So how were all the little listeners? Yamada asked. Hatsume is still in her funk, but we are hoping that some of Aizawa's students could help, Powerloader said, letting out a sigh. I see. I will have Vlad King take young Jiru and young Kodai to her, Nedzu said. I am surprised she hasn't tried building another Izuku yet, Aizawa said. It's more complicated than just building a replacement. To her, Izuku was family and can't be replaced. It's like Oboro died. Nothing can bring them back, Powerloader said as the room seemed to get a more depressing aura. Well, let's try thinking of the positive. All for One is dead and the new HPSC is making massive improvements, Nedzu said as his phone buzzed. Oh good, Vlad is escorting young Hatsume's friends to her, so hopefully we can help her, Nedzu said as he sipped his tea. With Jiru and Koda, Vlad led them to the support course dorm while explaining what was going on with Mei. The two heroes in training nodded. It wasn't surprising after what happened at Kamino. Don't worry, Vlad sensei, we will talk to her, Jiru said as she and Koda walked into Mei's room, closing the door behind them. What they saw was a messy room and Mei curled up on her bed wrapped in blankets. The two approached the bed before making their presence known by sitting on the bed. Hey Mei, can you sit up so we can talk? Jiru asked, only for Mei to begin snoring. Wake up Mei, Jiru said as she plugged one of her EA phone jacks into a radio and blasted deep door. Oh! Mei screamed as she fell off the bed while Koda tried to catch her. What? Mei asked. As I was saying, we wanted to talk, Juru said. The teachers are concerned because you barely leave your room and haven't been inventing anything, Koda said. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with me, but ever since Kamino I just don't want to do anything, Mei said. Look Mei, I am not going to sugarcoat it. I get that you're sad about Izuku, but you can't just do this, Juru said. I don't know what you're. Before Mei could finish, Koda hugged her. I know it hurts losing him. He was a great friend and an amazing person. That's why I know he wouldn't want you to just give up. He would come in here and make you invent something. It's never easy to lose someone you care about, but just remember the impact they made on your life means they will always be with you, Koda said while Mei began shaking as tears rolled down her face. Seeing what was happening, Juru joined in on the hug. After a few minutes, Mei seemed to calm down before pulling away. You're right, he would drag me to the lab. It just hurts that he isn't around to join us, Mei said. I get it, it's never easy, but you got us and a lot of friends by your side to help you get through it, Juru said. 5 years later, and the award for Best Hero Support Engineer goes to Mei Hatsume from I-Island's Heroics Division. The audience cheered as Mei walked up to the podium. After getting the award, she gave a small speech thanking everyone. After a few more awards, Mei was making her way home thinking about her life. She looked to her right at a hologram of Izuku and All Might standing side by side. While she was staring at the hologram, Melissa Shield joined her. Congrats on your award, Mei, Melissa said, patting Mei on the back. Thanks, I am glad I was able to reach my goal this early in my career, Mei said. Izuku would be proud. Now let's go home and celebrate, Melissa said as the two began to walk away. Oh, and we can test your babies when we get home, Melissa whispered into Mei's ear, making the Pinka blush. I have an amazing girlfriend, Mei thought to herself. Unbeknownst to her, there was someone watching her from above. Sitting on a grassy field, Izuku sat with a smile on his face. He then got up and was about to walk away when he heard a voice call out to him. Hey Izuku, Toshinori and I are going to go get some lunch. You want in? The man said. Sure thing Toriyama, just give me a sec. With that the man left. One day, Mei, when you get here we will have a lot of catching up to do, Izuku said to himself as he turned to see his friends as he saw Toshinori cleaning his halo. With a smile, Izuku walked up the two and the group went on their way. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.